Hey, what's up guys? Pat here with the deck profile that I promised from earlier. This is the JANEMBA deck that I played at Dragon Ball Nationals 2018. This is the top 32 deck list that I worked on with some of the guys at Shenron's Lair, as well as Eric Malone and obviously Matt Combs and a couple other people as well. So yeah, this is basically the version that I decided to go with for the event. Sorry that I have to do the video in this format, just largely because, again, since I'm still recovering from flood damage on my computer and my tripod has basically been packed away along with all the other stuff in that room, I basically have to do this via my hand. So, I apologize in advance for any shaking. I'll go over my card choices and explain why I used the cards that I did. So leader is JANEMBA. First off, he is permanent. You can't include cards with energy cost of 5 or more in your deck. That's kind of a balancing factor. Big thing to note that I noticed a lot of other JANEMBA players don't do. They're not playing a lot of 10Ks in their deck. Most 4 cost or less cards are 0.5Ks. So JANEMBA cannot really defend himself well unless you play a lot of 10Ks. So you're going to notice that's a recurring theme in most of this deck. He also has, when he attacks, you draw 1 and your opponent places the top 2 cards of their deck in the drop area. Basically, they mill 2 in layman's terms. And then he's a standard when he's at 4 or less, you can flip him to untap 2 energy. Important to note, he draws the card and mills no matter where he attacks. Doesn't have to go on the leader side. So this is his front side. And his back side is, as I was calling him the whole tournament, Shadow the Hedgehog, because he's super edgy and you got to go fast with this deck. So yeah, Relentless Speed JANEMBA, same thing. No matter where he attacks, they place the top 2 cards of their deck in the drop area. And then important to note, auto, when this card is attacked, you may place 1 blue card from your hand in your drop area. If you do, negate the attack and negate this skill for the duration of the game. So he has a built-in negate, and that's part of the reason why I played JANEMBA. I expected most of the good players to be on Storm. JANEMBA having the automatic answer to Mira Battering makes him amazing. They can Mira you, you can negate, they can Battering it, then in response you can JANEMBA. Important to note, and I learned this on the fly at the tournament, so please don't crucify me again, those of you who watch the stream. I'm so used to it being a negate that I didn't realize that it wasn't counter timing. If your opponent has an auto that removes all the cards from your hand, you cannot use JANEMBA. Important to note. So yeah, moving on to the actual deck. North Kai Keeping Watch is our super combo of choice. A lot of players were playing Great Sandman. This deck does not get that many cards into the drop. It basically maxes out around 5. You'll have 3 to 5 often, but very rarely do you ever go over 5. So, you can't defend your life with super combos at over, at 5 life or more. So we play North Kai just largely because, he can defend his life against Storm and other aggressive decks, even at 8 life. You want to stay as high as possible on life at all times with this deck. The higher your life total, the more likely you are to win. You just have to survive and you will win the game. There are other ways to win the game besides just mill. We do have a lot of aggressive finishers, but we'll cover this last. But the primary goal of JANEMBA is just to survive. You live, you win. So moving on to some other card choices. We run 8 of the pseudo super combos, 4 Unbreakable Sun Gokus, and then also 4 Infernal Villainy Cells. It's basically the best 10K you can be playing with JANEMBA. It basically replaces itself, and this card, along with some other cards in the deck, can be comboed to give you some serious defensive potential and allow you to stay above 6 life for a very long time, at least 4 or 5 turns. And these are the cards that are key to the deck in order to survive against decks like Storm and most of the other aggressive decks in the format. So, other 10Ks, we play Raging Spirit Sun Gohan. Obviously, I didn't see many people playing this, but obviously this is a really good card for the Storm matchup and aggressive decks in general. Even androids trying to attack you early with a lot of 15K criticals and stuff like that. 15K newfound power Sun Gohans. 1-drop intensifying power trunks, they're all hitting 15K. So to block them, we want to be at 20K, and what better way on turn 1 to block an attack than to put a 15K body on board. Allows you to be incredibly aggressive on 2 fronts by sticking this on turn 1. You now have board control and can pressure their board and keep them off of threats. And then also there's the constant, threat of they're milling every card in their deck. So that's the basic general game plan. We put bodies on board early. We attack them for their life that they have to spend cards to protect. If they don't protect their life or their cards, then, they're going to take damage and potentially lose the game that way. If they do spend the cards, then that in tandem with the mill will basically make it so that they're going to, not have any resources to actually win the game. So moving up here to the other defensive cards that we are playing, we play 4 Dimension Magic. This is my negative choice. If you're playing a blue leader, this is basically better than Whistle's Coercion because it's going to untap more energy basically in the long run over the course of the game. Sparking 5 when you're really close to dying. This is comes in clutch. You can actually tap out and still be able to get a negate, recover some much needed cards in the late game, and stave off enemy threats. It's just a negate. We need it. It helps us survive. Senzu Bean, play extension, best card you can possibly ask for. You mulligan for this every single time. If it's not in your versus Storm, if it's not in your opening hand, you just ship everything back to try and get Senzu Bean. Senzu Bean, 1 or 2 of these in tandem with a couple of Gohans and a couple of the pseudo super combos like Unbreakable and then Cell. They will let you stave off and survive to the mid game where we can get towards our more punishing cards as well as our bigger defensive core. Speaking of defensive core cards, we play 4 awe-inspiring Intimidator Super Saiyan Blue Vegito. Just a barrier, 20k. They have to attack it if it's in rest mode if possible, or another one of our battle cards. They can't go face. Again, when your opponent's at 6 or less cards in life and this guy is in rest mode, it's crunch time and they really, really, really have to get him off the board or they will not be able to win the game. The Unyielding Spirit Trunks is in here so that way we can tap out for Vegito as soon as we hit 4 energy, swing, Unyielding, and keep ourselves open so that we can play this Senzu Bean as well as our other pseudo super combos. So yeah, that's basically why he is in here. He allows play extension and allows us to just remain untapped. He's basically a offensive defensive card, if that makes sense. We're not really playing him for massive like combo potential like a Storm deck would. We're literally doing it so that we can drop our bombs a turn early and still attack. We could play Zeno Button in this spot, but with the threat of battering everywhere, I felt that this was the safer pick. So moving on to our Janemba package up here, I run 4 Reality Benders and 3 Demon Sword Janembas. I don't run 4 Demon Sword Janembas because I find that the deck already runs a lot of 4-drops and it gets clogged quite a bit. But you do need removal, so we do play him. Reality Bender is the better card because it is often a 1 mana or 1 energy 20k crit deflect that will mill them 2 cards. Important to note, it's at the end of the turn it mills. If your opponent has a revenge blocker or you think they're going to have Mafuba or King Vegeta's surprise attack, don't swing, just pass turn. Force them to, discard the top 2 cards of their deck. All we need to do is just survive. It's very easy for us to just summon one of these, swing with our leader, pass turn, and then make them mill another 2 more cards, and we'll eventually get there. Just, this is, I feel like, the best setup for Janemba in terms of, like, the ratios that you could be playing. I do play a 4th Demon Sword in the board, but that's largely for the mirror where milling every single card counts. So, next up is our finishers package. Next up, so we play here 3 At All Costs Vegeta. Card's just broken. There's a reason it's $15 now. When we keep our life total high, and if we can keep it to 6 or 8 for most of the game, we can very easily use this card, play this card, drop our life down to 4, pump him up huge to triple strike, recoup a lot of cards in our hand, awaken, and possibly even play a second one of these in the same turn, and just, really go for the game out of nowhere. I stole so many games away from people with At All Costs Vegeta because everybody just assumed I was playing a Deadly Defender variant, when in reality I'm a more aggressive finisher kind of deck. Like I just aggro them out of nowhere. So yeah, really powerful. The card just does too much. It's just very, very strong. If you don't already own this card, you should be picking it up. It honestly should be in most, if not all, blue lists at this point. It's just very powerful. And then we also have Furthering Destruction Champa here. This was a tech choice by Trey Faircloth, one of my teammates. He convinced me that we needed the double strike. It gives the deck a lot of needed reach. Many times in testing, my opponent would be at 2 life, and they would be fine with just sitting at 2 life because the deck doesn't run any natural, double strikers. It's all triple strikers and single strikers. So 2 is a safe spot that most people think they can park themselves at Janemba, against Janemba. So this card, along with Unyielding, just out of nowhere, you can just be like, hey, I got this, game-winning attack that you weren't expecting to have to defend against. Trey played East Kai. but I wanted to play Furthering Destruction Champa for two reasons. One, I knew that they were going to rule Shark this card heavy at Nationals because that's, the caliber of play that the judges expect from people. And two, Shenron decks do play Universe 7 Beerus, and if they activated the ultimate, I would much rather been a Furthering Destruction Champa plus a combo into play Gohan as my choice of cards to throw away for Universe 7 Frieza than have to pick the combo into play Gohan, the East Kai, and one other card to fulfill the requirements. I just felt it was a safer pick overall for the weekend. Now let's talk about the utility cards in the deck. I run 3 Kami Global Unifiers. We just needed a cantrip in this spot. It didn't matter. It needed to be a 1-cost card that drew a card. Dende was too narrow. Originally, it was, I believe it's East Kai or West Kai, I can't remember. It's the girl with the hat and the glasses, just because it was on color in blue. But I found out that over time, it wasn't really the best choice. I wasn't really missing the blue energy that much. Kami, on the other hand, really punishes Veggie's variants, and it really punishes Storm variants. I punished one of my opponents really hard in Swiss, Joseph. He basically, I lived the dream against him. He was playing Storm. He had an 8 Bardock and 3 Gotens on board. My turn 3, I have the Kami. I activate the Kami, to tap out. I get the extra card off it. I blow up his board. I awaken with Janemba, untap 2, and I continue my defensive plan, and I eventually get the game via mill. It's just a really powerful card for, stabilizing the game, and just, it's great board clear. It's just all around good. It's good in most matchups because since it's never dead, since it's a cantrip. Then we have Group Leader Pilaf. This is my tech choice of the day. Really powerful versus Storm, really powerful versus Shenron. Those are the 2 decks I expected to play against. That's why I mainboarded it. You counter a battle card attack, you remove one of their skills, basically their keyword skills, off the card. So for Bardock, you remove swap. It literally makes Storm past their turn 1. They can no longer swap to Goten or keep their plays going unless they're willing to spend quite a number of resources. Every turn counts versus Storm, so having a card literally one card that says, hey, you got to pass your turn, is amazing in my book. Also, against Shenrons, they activate their leader skill, give everything triple, give a card triple attack. You play Peel Off. If they don't have the battering, you steal the triple attack away. Once that one combo step is done, their ultimate is over. They go back to 10k, and you can proceed to win the game easily next turn. And then finally, the last 3 cards are Supreme Kai of Time. I played 2 of these because I realized that, hey, we aren't making use of Overwhelm. It's a resource we're not making use of. So this is cheap enough where we can get it out early and consistently, and we won't miss it as far as Dimension Magic is concerned. Usually we can Overwhelm this and very reliably get another one next turn and have Dimension Magic set up within about 2 turns. We drop this on turn 2, and it lets our leader pressure their leader if they've awakened early. Replaces itself, 0-5k, all around useful. And then we play 1 Legendary Flute because that's all we can play. I probably wouldn't play more than this anyways. Just good for fluting the blocker, like in finals of major tournaments. Also really good for fluting back this Supreme Kai of Time herself so that we can replay it. I lived the dream quite a number of times, being able to play a Supreme Kai on 2, a Supreme Kai on 3, fluting the Supreme Kai, and then playing Supreme Kai on 4. Puts quite a lot of pressure on your opponent. Also really good with combo Hans. So, yeah. That is the basic core deck. I will try and zoom out for you guys so you guys can see. This is the basic core deck in its entirety. As far as sideboard goes, if you'll give me 1 second, I'll just grab it here. Again, I don't have my tripod, so we got to do all this by hand. So we have Haru Haru, really, really powerful for the androids matchup. Helped me win quite a number of games, was super good against the 3 androids that I had to play in Swiss, including former Gen Con winner Marquise. Really instrumental in winning that matchup. Really, really good card. If you expect droids in the format, you side at least 3. And that's basically what I did here. Objection. I felt I might need ramp in certain matchups. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. This is the most useless card in my sideboard. I don't think I sideboarded it in not once, especially with the Dende loop ever. It's ever present in the format. Just wasn't worth playing. Mifuba, gotta have it for U7 and Shenron matchups. Just, an amazing negate against Gogeta decks where they Hero Revive, which is the bane of this deck's existence. It's really bad against Gogeta Hero Revive. We just have to bring in as many negates as possible, as many blockers as possible, and pray we see them off the 3 cards in order to stabilize. That's basically the reason why I lost in top 32. I just didn't see the negate. If there was one of these in my life, which I sided in, I was hoping to see. Could have, probably clutched it out, gone farther than top 32. Just, yeah, again, good negate. We need more of them in certain matchups. And it's the best one that we can be playing after that. 3 Dark Power Mass Saiyan. Just really good against the Child's Wish variants. And also in testing, there were a lot of decks that were trying to keep me at 5. And, basically hit me with a triple strike like at all costs. Then kill me with Mira Battering. I knew I needed some self-awakening somewhere in the 65 originally as Pan, but this kills 2 birds with 1 stone. You'll notice that there are several players like Danny Wynn in top 32 of the Nationals bracket that were playing a Child's Wish version of Shenron. This punishes them really bad. Every time they activate a Child's Wish, they discard 2 cards. So again, 2 birds with 1 stone. We play 3 copies. And then the last card that I played in the sideboard was 2 copies of Yajirobe, Courageous Heart. I know that Trey Faircloth opted for the barrier blocker for the U7 matchup. I felt that if I had already milled the Victory Strike, I've already won that matchup, so I didn't have to worry about it. Otherwise, I got to get to, 8 energy with Objection to World Peace it if it's a Shenron variant. So again, I'm not really worried about it. Instead, I went with a more proactive strategy. Yajirobe I felt like is more useful in more matchups since he's removal. So there you go, guys. That is the Shadow the Hedgehog deck profile. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And again, sorry for the hand cam. No tripod, no computer like normal. But yeah, if there's any other decks you guys want me to see now that we're in the off season and Nationals is over, please leave me a like or comment below and I will get to it next time. All right, guys. See ya.